Welcome to Code for Placement. Let's start the course with a quick overview of database, what they are and how we use them. A database is a collection of data stored in a format that can be easily accessed. In order to manage our database, we use a software application that is called database management system, or we call it as dbms. We connect to the dbms and give a instruction for querying or modifying the data. dbms will execute our instruction and send the result back to us. So now we have several database management system out there, and these are classified into two categories. One is relational database, another is non-relational database, also called nosql. So in relational database we store the data structure which like data tables which is linked to each other, and that is a relation. So that's why we call it as a relational database. Each table will store the specific details like customer, product or order. SQL or SQL is the language which we will be using to deal with relational database. Basically we'll use SQL or SQL to modify or query the data, to fetch or modify the records in database. Now apart from this, we will be touching the multiple topics like mysql or SQL Server or Oracle in this particular course. Apart from this, we will be also having in-depth knowledge of how the relational or non-relational databases are linked together. So now let's talk about non-relational databases, or we can also call it as nosql. So basically, as we told in the starting of this particular thing, we have two things. One is a relational database, another we have non-relational database. So basically mysql is being used only for the relational database, and non-relational, that is a nosql or nosql. So they don't have a relation between each of the tables, or they do not linked with it. So as basically the nosql does not understand SQL, or they have a different language to work on it for non-relational database. And in this particular course we are only talking about the relational databases, and that is for SQL. So let's understand why SQL or SQL. So if we used to call a big word, that is SQL, rather than that we can call it as SQL as well. Basically both of them are same, and in non-English country we call it SQL, and in other countries we call it as SQL. Basically this SQL is a structured English query language which was being introduced in 90s, and by that time SQL is a name which is already patented by a airplane company. That's why they drop it. SQL stands for structured query language, and that's why both of them are same, SQL and SQL. But if you call any of them, that is absolutely fine. In this course I will be sometime calling SQL, or sometime we'll be using SQL as well, but SQL is something which I prefer it. And yeah, so basically in this particular entire courses we are going to talk about mysql and MySQL. So MySQL is the preferred word which is being used, and in this tutorial we are going to learn SQL with MySQL. Thank you so much guys. Do subscribe to Code.